Okay, well, good morning, guys, and welcome back to the Rancho de Casa. We're in the living room. We've been working on the wall of sound, and of course, we've got, there's a lot of products that I have. There's a lot of different amplifiers and stereos that I've collected. Let me just swing that down a little bit. Over that way, yeah, there we go. There's a lot of different stereos and amplifiers that I've collected over the years. And to properly display them, you need to have some nice shelving. And when I originally put this house remodeled, this wasn't here, this combination closet on the other side and the built-in unit here. And I originally thought I might have a nice big fish tank up here, but then I came to believe that might be a pain in the ass, so I decided not to have the fish tank. I had the spot, and as you know, I like to use the 16-inch deep shelving. And I came here yesterday and I measured, and I got 16 and a half inches deep. So I'm excited, and almost 47 and a half inches tall. So we've got a perfect spot here to continue upping the cool factor. And what I can do is very easily put a little hole in the bottom down here to, if I want to run speakers for the future, and if I want to run a power strip up here, I still have some room in the back to work with, and it's very easy to take the shelves out and do a little work and put them back in. But for the time being, all I want to do is get the shelving set in here. And the good thing too is I've had this paint sitting here for a while that I bought, and it's been well sealed, and it's the color of the room here, the very neutral, what they call the linen color. So it's going to be a simple matter of just cutting the shelves to size, and I'm going to use they're sort of silver galvanized like wood screws, and I'm going to go in about 3/4 of an inch, because this thing is not going to have heavy things sitting on it. Okay, it's going to be light stuff like the little Sansui 331 and some other, maybe a Scott amplifier here. They're small in size. They're not heavy. They're not like the jumbo Kenwood GX9 and stuff. So it's going to be plenty to hold it, and it'll be adjustable if we need to in the future. So I want to make very sure that everything is all square, and this thing actually dips down a tiny bit in the back on the bottom, because I thought if I have a fish tank and if I ever have a catastrophic leak, and it's like the Red Sea coming out, I want to make sure it favors going to the back. I was going to have some holes in the bottom there in case the fish tank went, earthquake, torsional sway and all that crap, and she's gone. I know there'd be a tremendous amount coming at the front, but some of it would be redirected in the back there, so and go into the closet, which is pretty well sealed off. So all we have to do is figure our spacing here, cut the boards, and place our screws. We want to make sure everything's level, and if we get to the top and we're slightly looking out of level, we're going to put a trim piece, recess fitted trim piece in here, so everything looks pretty uniform. And it'll be Mad Men cool, so that's the plan for today, guys. All right, so let's get going. Let's get our probably get our screws set in here, and then we'll probably do the measurements. Then we'll cut our boards to size. We got plenty of scrap here. We're talking about shelving. I think this can accommodate. Yeah, this is nice. 18 inches is kind of standard size for a lot of the stereo stuff from the mid-70s onward. So it should all work out okay. So without any further ado, let's get to the drawing board here, because one of the things that helps me a lot when I'm doing layout is being able to actually see on paper what the layout's going to be, and also identifying the critical factors that's going to make the shelf look good. And I've identified two of them in here, two critical factors. Number one, the vertical spacing of the shelving. In other words, how high, what's the distance you want between shelf units? If we go the standard 8 inches that we have in the wall of sound over there, I only have a 47 3/4 inch effective working space inside because of the sloping in the back. So if I was to go with that spacing and stick to it religiously, I would only be able to get not quite 6 shelves up there with the uniform to the box spacing. Opening and did some more precise measuring. It's actually, going to say 47.5 is a more realistic, 47.5 inches is a more realistic vertical distance. But the other thing, when I'm doing the finer and the end calculations here, you've got to take into account that these boards are 3/4 of an inch thick. So that's going to affect the spacing too, because there's going to be 5 shelves going up in the bottom. And because there's going to be 5 shelves, we have to take the 47.5 inch minus the 3 3/4, and we get that 3 3/4 by each of the 5 boards is 3/4 of an inch, or 0.75 thickness. We get 3.75 per shelf thickness. So we subtract that from our 47.5, and we get 43 3/4. We divide that by 5, and we get actual shelf spacing of 8 3/4 inches. That's from the bottom to the top of the next shelf, and then from this to the top of the next shelf, and so on, and up she goes. So next thing I want to do is check everything for level, and then start to get the initial okay guys, I had all my scrap pieces left over from the wall of sound build, and I've got them all marked to 17 3/4 inches. If you're going to use power tools, radial saws, things like that, you better understand you're going to need safety glasses. You should wear safety glasses, and you should always be careful. Keep your hands clear of the blade. Keep one hand on the radial saw at all times. Okay, I've known a couple carpenters have lost fingers and stuff, just distractions and everything else. I'm going to go ahead and cut these, and these glasses are just fine. Get that held good. Make sure you keep it straight and rip it through at the end, and keep the cord behind you. Looks like that one sort of veered off slightly, so we'll do a bit of corrected that one up a little bit. 17 3/4 will be good. There's the first shelf placement. I think that looks pretty good. I want to give a nice spacing here, because I believe in a lot of ventilation on these units, especially if they're running. I do have power behind the wall, and it's an easy matter of just removing the shelves, which are just resting on those screws, which is just fine, and it'll be repainted inside the box. And then if I want to power it up and run speakers down the back, that'll be a future project. I want to make sure there's plenty of ventilation in the unit, and I'll probably end up back drilling some holes too, so the lower units don't, the heat doesn't build up in the box there. So yeah, so far so good. Now, since we have the first shelf really level and good, it's a simple matter of going up and marking off the next levels, and you can see I have the marks there and setting the next construction room floor here to check everything out.
Right,
no dicking around today, huh? No cocking over the whole program. Just gets frigged up. There we go. We got shelf number 2 fitted up there, and we're rolling along pretty good. Jen's going to paint these shelves for me later today, and then we'll slide them in. While she's doing that, or after she's done that, I'm just going to slap a quick coat on the inside there, and we should be definitely good to go. So fit up the other 2 shelves and shelves up. We've got 2 more to go. And the beauty of doing things this way is once you get your first shelf set and level front to back, then all you have to do is measure up 8 3/4 to the bottom of the next one. And it just flows, you know, and it's fast. You pre-cut all your pieces, and instead of trying to make fit on each one and all that. So it's going real good. So I'm going to take a little break here, get a cup of coffee, and then come back and finish it up. I'm going to remove the shelves and sit them out back. Missy Jen will be 2 coating these today, and then this evening we'll be pop. Because that Glidden's fast dry and stuff, we'll be able to pop these back in place. I'm considering whether to hit them with some semi-gloss enamel just to kind of give them a little offset. So I'll just see if I have any up there. I don't want to go out and buy new, but if I have a can that's pretty well sealed up and I can stir it up good, I'll probably use that, because this thing was really funked up over here. This stuff, it cost a fortune, but you know, you can see Rosie's good job at sealing up the can. All right, I'm on break now. I gotta get a cup of coffee. All right, guys. Well, the Missy came in for inspection, and give it a thumbs up there, huh? There it is. We got her good and strong. So gonna see whether we're gonna paint these shelves white or just gray them in here. I'm not sure yet. So Jen's agreed to paint the shelves. So I'll load them outside and then do the inside, and then I'll check. You can see the spacing turned out real good. Everything's nice and level, because we didn't have a perfectly square box here, so we had to make some adjustments on the fly, but it turned out real good. It's real strong, and you know what? It helps make the living room, continue to make the living room even nicer here, and which makes Jen happy, because you know, it's like she's living in an audio hi-fi store from the 1960s here right now. So, all right. Well, we'll check back as we get the inside. Back from the lumber dicks, and I got I think it's a very sort of handsome-looking piece here to do for the outside, and it'll sort of offset things nicely. And Jen's going to go ahead and paint the shelves. We're going to use the white enamel because we have it. So I've also got some longer screws that I'm going to sub in here for more holding power. So yeah, I got them 2 inches instead of 1 5/8. It's called a little bit of piece of molding here. So I just tacked up one to sort of get a dry fit around there, and this is going to be. Yeah, that's going to be just perfect to go up there. So, yeah, it's going to be a nice finishing detail. I'm going to pass it to Missy Jen out here now. I'm going to take off this last piece. She's getting ready to, well, I'm going to remove this, pull that out, that tack, and I'm going to take it out to her, and we're going to let her paint this up. I guess I'll take the hammer out too, to remove these little finish nails. So, all right, there's the Missy looking sharp in her yellow today. The booby show, huh? All right, so I'm gonna pass this to her and add it to her painting collection. While the Missy's on the job there, I'm gonna go ahead and vacuum this out real good. I've done a little filling of some of the holes. I've also beefed up the screws in there. It's time for me to open the paint and to get cracking on painting this up again. She's spreading them real good. I'm being careful. I don't want a lot of drippage around the screw heads here. Just getting it on them lightly without blobbing it up on them. Just to get them hit so they kind of blend in. They'll be kind of hiding underneath of the shelves there. Just won't get that enough. They won't really be visible once the unit's in. And this is really quick drying kind of paint too. So this linen. All right, well, I'll finish painting away there with that paint. And a lot of people don't know you were a professional painter for And I don't mean painting portraits like Rembrandt and Van Gogh. I mean like you're doing now, right?
Yeah, I was a industrial painter. I was a painter for indoors, like interior, exterior painting.
Yeah, you worked with a contractor for a lot of years,
I
right?
was concrete restoration.
That's good. Well, it's looking good. Looking good. So it'd probably take 2 coats, I guess, on it. So, all right, I'll let you to it, honey. Thank you. Looking good.
Yep. Looking good, eh?
Yeah. Real good. Missy Jen's done a nice job painting all that. We're getting ready. I think she's putting the. Can't find the rest of my nails. Yeah. Thank you, honey. You put the paint on the other side there. So
The first coat is
first
on.
coat is on. So that's awesome. I can't find those little brads I had to hook that on. So what else is new, right? So all right, I'll look around and find a little too short by about 19 inches. So off to the lumber dick to get another piece of trim. Oh shit! Lucky he's really close. Well, we are wrapping it up. I'm just sliding the last shelf in right now. And I'll tell you, didn't that turn out beautifully, that job? And I'm so glad that we trimmed around with a little bit of accent trip. Yeah, it took 2 trips down to the lumber dick, but it was worth it. So I want to thank you for being along today. This is where we're going to be putting amplifiers in here. The Dynacos, the HH Scotts, the Marantas, some other things. This will be some of our smaller amplifiers will go here, and that's going to be pretty cool. And we'll be rotating them in and out of the wall of sound there. So I want to also give a special shout out today to Missy Jen. Her painting skills are great. All the painting on all the shelves, both sides, 2 coats. She did all of that today. And I am really grateful to have her not only in my life, but to have her as a work partner too, with the skills that she brings to, well, just about everything that she does. So, all right, well, thanks so much for being along today, and stay tuned. There's always more fun stuff on the O'Kelly channel, and Jen and Rosie Reality TV, and Rosie Murphy channel. Thanks so much for being along. Mwah.